I am all made up still. I went to FanX today in Salt Lake City, FanX. So that was a lot of fun. So I've got no writing done so far today. I'm going to be working on fixing that very shortly here. But first, I wanted to share some things at FanX that I saw that I thought you might find interesting, because there's this organization there that I ran into that does writing competitions quarterly for short story writers. And it's called the Writers of the Future. Sorry. And then they compile them into these books. The winners, like the top 12 winners, they compile them for you. And then, sorry, that's a small publishing company card, editor card that I got while I was there. I talked to a lot of different authors there. It was a lot of fun. I got their opinions on how they got published and whether or not they did self-pub or whether or not they did traditional publishing and all that fun stuff. It was very interesting. But they do that, and then they publish like the 12 winners in here. They also do it for illustrators too. They do an illustrator competition. So they had these really interesting, beautiful illustrations in the front of their illustration winners. And they have the rules in the back. But if you happen to be interested in that, because you do short stories or whatever, all the guidelines and all that jazz to enter and all that stuff is at www.writersofthefuture.com. I guess it's /enter -writer -contest. So just in case you were interested, Brandon Sanderson, I guess, is one of the judges that they frequently have. He's like the only author on here other than Orson Scott Card, because he also, I guess, did judging on it as well as several other authors that are pretty well known. And it seems like a really cool competition. There are like actual cash prizes for first, second, and third place. And it's a quarterly competition, so you can submit quarterly if you wanted to. I think once you win, I think they said you're not allowed to win a second time or something like that in the same place or something that you got before. I don't remember what the details were, but all the rules are on their website. I figured I'd mention that. It was really cool. I also went to a panel for this, and Brandon Sanderson was there, as well as several other authors who are past winners of this competition and are, I guess, pretty decently known writers, although I didn't know any of the other ones other than Brandon Sanderson. And I only know him recently because somebody introduced me to The Way of Kings, and I plowed through it, and now I'm already on to Words of Radiance, which is the second book in the series. To put that in perspective, if I remember right, Brandon Sanderson said during the panel that Way of Kings was 400,000 words. It's a long book. It's an epic fantasy. So that's that. That was kind of rambly and had nothing to do with my writing, but I figured that might be fun to bring up in case you happen to be interested in doing any sort of competition like that. They also said that sometimes what people will do is, instead of actually writing it as a short story, they'll just adapt some chapters from their actual novel, if you happen to only have novels, into having it be a short story. They said one guy sent them one of the guys on the panel said that he won by sending in his prologue, but he just adapted it to basically be a short story and then sent it in, and he won with it. So something to consider. But yeah, I'm kind of off track. I need to get some writing done because I haven't gotten any done yet today, like I mentioned, and I wanted to try to hit 22,000 words by the end of the day. So that's my goal. We'll see. I'm getting on to a fun chapter, but it's also a chapter that's going to have a lot more of a like technical medical stuff going on. And I've noticed that in the chapters that have that, I keep running into the issue where I'm like, oh crap, I don't know the actual term for this. Or would a doctor actually do this? Do hospitals work this way? I don't know. So I keep having to put notes for myself, like, you're gonna have to look up whether or not this is even remotely viable, that they would act this way later. and research. I have no clue how to research some of the stuff I have to research on this, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is not a simple Google search away. Can I just schedule a doctor's appointment and then use my checkup time, be like, okay, I don't actually want you to give me a checkup. I just want to like ask you all this medical related questions. Can I do that? Does that work? Maybe I'll contact my old roommate. She's a nurse. I feel like she would probably know. I wonder if she would mind answering all my questions, but yep. Okay, I'm rambling. I'm going to get to some writing, and I will tell you how that goes shortly. I'm going to probably try to do like 500 words at a time and then take short breaks in between. So you know how I said I was going to do 500 words and then take a break and then do 500 more words to hit my goal? Well, that didn't happen. I got really into the scene, and I pounded out like 1,010 words in like a half hour. So I'm pretty much done with my writing for the evening, unless I decide to do some more in a little bit. But I'm going to take a shower first and then decide, and then maybe this video will be longer. But today went really fast on my writing, and I'm excited because I'm coming, like I mentioned, I'm on the chapter that I've been really, really looking forward to. When shit's about to take like a really weird turn, not for the worst necessarily, because actually things are gonna start being lower stakes as far as death tolls are concerned, but still high stakes as far as like personal realization of this character, as well as this character trying to protect one of his patients, or his patients in general, from basically getting taken into these research camps that the government is trying to do. So the toll isn't, the stakes are about to change from literal life or death, like find something to treat these people or they all are like dropping like flies, to the, okay, well, we treated them, turns out they're okay now, and this weird thing happened to them, but now the government's trying to get them all to sign these waivers where they're offering to be to take care of them because their homes are all destroyed and stuff, and offering to set up these study camps where, in exchange for being allowed to study the results of this thing on them, they will be given room and board and taken care of and given the best medical things. But you kind of know that the government's being a little sketchy about it. Like, he knows that, but he's like trying to protect his patients. I'm going on a rambling thing. So the stakes are basically changing at this point in the story, or will be changing shortly. And I'm excited that I'm coming to that turning point, because I'm a little, this sounds weird, but I'm a little tired of killing off so many people. They're not people that you really know or got attached to, but they're like dropping like flies, and it's just this poor character, this poor doctor is just like can barely handle it at this point. So anyway, I'm excited about that. Now talking about it more makes me really want to get more writing done this evening. I think I'm going to try to get at least 300 more words done after my shower. I think that's what I'm going to aim for, because now I'm like really excited and I'm into it. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll get back with you and let you know how that went. Not the shower, the writing. I mean, I guess I could tell you how the shower went, but I don't think you care. All right, I'm back. So I am ending the evening at a total of 22,317 words. So I got close to 300 more words done, but I think I'm done for the evening because it's almost 9 now and I'm tired. I've been walking around a convention all day today, so I'm very sleepy. But I forgot that I didn't do any writing advice yet, and I almost totally forgot. So I wanted to give some other writing advice. It's, like I said, I'm tired. Some other writing advice that again comes back to taking notes along the way, but it's really more of a, this will help prevent you from getting sidetracked by doing research on stuff that you realize in the moment as you're writing it that you don't know about that subject, which I think I've already talked about taking notes for, but also just catching your mistakes or potential mistakes at the moment that you realize that there might be something wrong there, rather than relying on yourself to maybe remember that there might be something wrong there that you need to look into or fact check later. when you're rereading the book or something, because you might miss it. I've done that a lot of times where I will be writing something and then I think I'm going to remember it later when I get to it. And then I know I remember saying to myself that I need to get back to something later, but I did not remember what it was. So what I've taken doing is notes, like I mentioned in the text. And I actually just wanted to read a short bit here. This is very bad writing because it is very rough draft. And but I wanted to read a short little passage and also the example of the note that I put here because just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm actually talking about. So basically the context is the doctor has just arrived back at the hospital. He's basically been informed that, I mean, all the patients are having a hard time breathing now. They've lost several of them because they didn't get to them in time before they realized what was going on and could do anything about it. And all the patients are having this horrible, horrible problem where they can't breathe properly, and they're all taking like these gasping breaths that they're having. Anyway, that's the context. So it says, something I noticed after the first couple rooms I visited was how every patient's breathing sounded the same. This wasn't surprising if the same problem was causing it for all of them. As a doctor, I had heard plenty of sick people coughing or sneezing, and they took on a certain sound depending on the illness. If it was a viral infection causing mucus buildup in the lungs, different patients with the same virus would have a wet cracking cough followed by sharp inhaling wheezes as their lungs refilled. After a while, I had gotten to where I could guess what people had within minutes just by hearing their coughing and breathing with surprising accuracy. Like I said, this is very rough. What bothered me now was how similar this breathing sounded to patients I'd heard in the past who had congestive heart failure. And then basically I put a note here that basically says, because I just kind of threw that in there because I know people who have who are going through congestive heart failure. There's fluid buildup in their lungs, and I know that because of recent events with family. But there's fluid buildup in their lungs, and they have a hard time breathing. So I basically just kind of threw that in there, but I threw that in there not really knowing a lot more about the details. So what I did is I added a quick note for myself that says, look up how this would be diagnosed, or this detail may need to be changed later if it doesn't fit or contradicts different parts in the story, because I already know that there's certain parts in the story that are going to need to be done a certain way to work with the rest of the book. So if him comparing it to that, or the cough comparing, or him comparing their breathing to this, or their breathing being a certain way doesn't really fit with that, then I'm going to have to change that detail. I already know that here. I don't want to just continue writing and assume that I'm going to know that I need to fact check that when I do the reread, because I might not remember when I do the reread. So that's why I do the notes right at the moment that I realize that there may be something wrong there that needs to be fact checked, even though I think I'm okay on this one. It's entirely possible that I could be doing something blatantly wrong and seem like an idiot later for anybody who actually knows what they're talking about. So that's why I put that in there, and I have plenty of other notes for similar things like that, but I just wanted to kind of give an example of that. Anyway, this video is going to end up being very long if I don't shut up. So I had a good writing evening in conclusion. I hope everybody else is doing good. Let me know if you find it beneficial to take notes along the way of stuff that you know you're going to need to be changing, or you might need to fact check, or if you prefer to just leave it for the reread and not focus on it while you're writing, because it's distracting for you. Anyway, you guys have a good evening. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.